What's up, everybody? Welcome to the round 4 player ratings video. How exciting. 2 wins on the trot. Got my confidence back, got my swagger back, and every single person that I walk past is going to know about it today, whether they know me or they don't know me. And I hope that you all bring that same energy today. If you are new around here and you've never seen a player ratings video, welcome. What I like to do here, just start the conversation. These ratings are not official, they're not right, they're not wrong. It's just a chat. I'm going to start by giving everybody a rating out of 10, pursuant to their role in the team, their standing in the side, their experience, and what we expect from them and how well they executed their role. And then you guys will make any adjustments needed in the comments below, whether a rating needs to go higher or lower. And then we will tally everything up at the end of the year and crown the Blue Abroad Player Ratings Champion, or whatever it is we're going to call it. I don't really know. It's just something we've done on this channel from the very beginning. Reviews and player ratings after games. And it's a tradition that we carry around, and it's been good fun. So let's begin, shall we? Let's start in the back line. Lockie Plowman, Wiedering, and Luke Parks. Plowman, I loved his game. Again, a lot was spoken about him last week, responding after the Collingwood game the week before. He did that very well, and he backed it up. Very important. One thing about Lockie Plowman, I spoke with the guys on the Ian Prendercast, and they made a very good point about him. He is the modern-day zone defender. He's not necessarily a one-on-one specialist. He's very much a zone defender. And anyway, I thought he did his job pretty well. What I want to give him credit for, and a few of them were in this boat, is his ability to grit the teeth when he got hurt and come back on. That shows a lot of character. And I know that we questioned him when he was smiling after the Collingwood game and whatnot. I think the same energy needs to be given to Plowman when you look at what he did last night. When he got hurt, gritted the teeth and came back on. That takes serious character to perform the role after getting hurt like that. I hope he's okay for next week, but we'll see how it plays out. The fact that he did go back on is a positive, so fingers crossed. I gave him an 8 for his game. Weeders, I also gave an 8 for his game. I thought he did his role very well on Ben King. I thought he actually smashed Ben King. I thought he just maybe let himself down with some of the kicking. He could have really had a 9 or close to a 10, but I thought some of his kicks were a little errant. So I'll give him some room to breathe there. So I gave him an 8. Luke Parks, I gave him a 6. I thought he did his job. I didn't want to give him any more. There's room for growth there, but the most important thing about Luke Parks is that fucking hit. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of intensity that we as fans love. Now, I wasn't alive and watching footy when David Rees-Jones was playing, which is the number that Parksy wears. So if you're in the audience watching this, I feel like that kind of intensity at the man in that contest that Parksy had with Jack Lukosius, that's the kind of intensity that is in the spirit of David Rees-Jones. And that was the thought that came into my mind when it happened. But honestly, when's the last time a Carlton player hit someone fairly so hard that they started bleeding? I know that Jack Lukosius just hit his head on the ground. It wasn't really from Luke Parks' hit, but the intensity, his willingness to fly with the flight of the ball, spoil, throw his body on the line. And the fact is he's learning off a guy like Liam Jones who does it. And we're going to get to Jonesy. And so I think it just rubs off. Very happy with him. And for me, he'll stay in the side. He's absolutely doing his job. And, very happy for him. 19 years old. We found one there. It's a huge relief that we found one there. So gave him a 6. Next up, it's Doherty, Jones, and Sard. I gave Doc a 9. I thought particularly in the first half, he was outstanding. He's now, for 2 weeks in a row, I'm starting to see the intercept marks slowly creep back into his game. But not just intercept marks, contested intercept marks. Wow, tough contests. He's throwing his body in those dangerous positions again. I even think he's even added more layers of confidence to his body and his knees with his landing. I can always tell that he's just being very careful with his landing, and that's probably something he's going to need to do for the rest of his career. But the way he was flying at the ball, the way he used the ball was pretty well. Look, he's gone at 78% disposal efficiency. He's kicked the ball 25 times to 3 handballs, and he's gained us 521 metres. That is Sam Doherty pretty much at his best. So I gave him a 9 for his game. Jonesy, I gave him an 8. I thought he was outstanding. He makes some mistakes. I think Heath Buck tweeted, he makes some mistakes, but gee, you fucking love him. You do love him. You'd rather have him on your team than not because you know what you're going to get from him from an effort standpoint. I gave him an 8 for his game. Some of the kicking was errant, and there's room for improvement there. That's probably what didn't give him the 9 or the 10. But again, you guys can talk about that with me in the comments. Sardi, I gave him an 8. He was another one who just gritted his teeth. Now, all throughout the week, people were talking about how proppy he looked. A lot of you fans who were on the Gold Coast that went to training sent me photos and videos of him, and I thank you very much for that. And I guess it looked very clear that he wasn't going to play and Willow was going to be a late in. But it wasn't the case. He gritted his teeth. He found a way, and it's character. I don't know of too many more players we've had do it like that. For us, Cripps is definitely one of them. Over the last 5-6 years, I'm saying. So it's good to have these strong-willed characters. And, when things are not going your way, like they weren't for Adam Sardi in terms of his body and his health, he's still able to find a way. And listen, he's had 21 touches, 81% disposal efficiency, and he's gained 497 meters. If that's the minimum standard, that's a great game. So I gave Sardi an 8, taking into account what he was battling with and his personal situation. Next up is Cottrell, Gibbons, and Nunes. Cotters, I gave him an 8. I mean, he was from his first 2 games. I thought last week he probably faded out a little bit in the second half. But last night he was up for the contest, and he looks like he's gained some confidence in his body and in his performance, and he just carried on. The only thing with him is he just needs to add a little bit more polish to his disposal, but that can be trained and taught. The intent and the heart that he plays with, I don't know if you can train that. I really don't. And so it's good to start with that base and add the skills later. He's going to work at it. He's going to be working hard. Loved his game. I gave him an 8. Gibbo, another one who just, I got goosebumps. Like adversity throughout the game. He played a very good game on the ball early in the contest. Thought he was crafty as he always is. I hope we keep him in that role that he played last night. I really do. I don't want him to be forward for more than what he is a midfielder. I know he can be crafty, but we've got plenty of guys there. For me, this guy's a two-time JJ Liston Trophy winner as a midfielder, and I think he just needs to get as many reps on the ball as possible. The hit that he copped was literally, it was sickening, and just so how cleanly he was hit, in the head. So who knows if he will play next week. That might be something we need to have a look at. I gave him an 8. The fact that he came back on and gritted the teeth again, it means something to him. They want to be a part of it, and that's the takeaway that I got from it. They don't want to miss out. They know what's coming. They all talk about its building, and I think we're starting to get to that point where it's really starting to come to fruition, and none of them want to miss out, injuries or not. So good on him for fighting, and I'm happy for him, and I hope he goes well, and I hope he's okay for next week. So I gave him an 8. Nunes, I flirted with an 8, but I'm going to give him a 7. Listen, he's had 22 touches and kicked 3 behinds. I think the 3 behinds might have hurt his cause a little bit. There was one particular set shot which was just regulation. He should have kicked it. But room for growth. Loved his game. He's absolutely asserted himself at this football club, and I've got all the time and love and respect for him. So I gave him a 7 for his game, and I think he's going to be a lot better for the run next week. Next up is Casbolt, Cripps, and Fogarty, or Fogarty, I should say. It's been confirmed now. Casbolt, I don't know. I love him. He's a Carlton man. I gave him a pass mark. I'd love to see more. I think we saw more signs, baby steps forward from him with the marking ability and whatnot. He did kick a goal. He did provide ruck relief, even though it was a situation where the Gold Coast Suns ruckman were not really an issue for us. But yeah, did he do his job? I think he just did his job. But I hope to see a bit more. I'm hoping maybe next week can be a bit of a breakout game for 2021 for him, just to get some confidence going. He's had a couple of games now. He's looked proppy. He's looking a little bit better. I just noticed that once the ball hits the deck, that's kind of it for Levi. But I guess that's not his role. His role is to bring the ball to the deck and have the small forwards or the smaller players coming around him. But anyway, I gave him a pass mark. Loved his work, and we'll move on from there. Cripps, I gave Cripps an 8. I know he didn't use the ball well. He went at 66%. He had 22 touches. But my main thing with him was his intent. The 9 tackles is very important for me. For me, when Cripps made his name with us, when he before he was the dynamite superstar that we know him as right now, he was just the kid that tackled willingly. 8, 9 tackles every week you'd see next to his name. So I love the fact that he led the way for the team on that front. So 9 tackles, the kicking and the disposal efficiency, it's a bit of an issue. He sometimes holds the ball for too long. I get the mentality, draw a player, I'm strong enough, and then if I draw a player, then someone else will be free. But there's just a cleanliness that I hope returns to his game that hasn't quite arrived consistently just yet. I guess I can't categorize him like the Neils and the Bontempellis, who are just so crisp and clean, whereas Cripps is a little bit more of a crash and bash kind of guy. So anyway, I enjoyed his game. It was a good captain's game. He kicked a goal. He missed one in the first quarter, which really had me saying some things about him at the time. I was really angry at him, but no, I love him. Love the skipper. I love the fact that he's got some teammates around him helping him out, and he's enjoying the spoils of a win, and it's good to see a smile on his face. So I gave him an 8. Fogarty, I thought he was a little quiet with his disposals, but the beauty of Fogarty is that he finds the other way to impact the game. And how did he do that yesterday, or last night? 8 tackles. We cannot ask for more. He's playing in a role on that half-forward line where there are going to be some weeks where you don't see as much of the ball. It was Mark Murphy last week. I think he had less than 12 or 13 touches last week, whatever it was. And last night was Mark Murphy's night. He had the couple of goals and whatnot. He got on the end of them. But Fogarty, it wasn't his night from a disposal standpoint, but he found a way to impact with his tackling pressure. And there were a lot of even just bumps that he made, or just a lot of pressure that he made on a kicker, which forced an errant kick, which then forced a turnover, which I don't think comes up on a stat sheet. But I enjoyed what he did last night, given the situation of his game. I gave him a 7. Next up, Jack Silvani, Harry Mackay, and Eddie Betts. Jack Silvani, the spirit of the Carlton Football Club. Very, very happy for him. I gave him a 6 for his game. I thought before the injury, he had a real patch, maybe a quarter and a half, where it was like, Jack, where are you, mate? I thought he started pretty well and then just faded out, and then he got injured. It's a real shame, because I don't know if you believe in the magic of the spirit of the Carlton Football Club, but I think I do. And I just have a feeling that when he's in that forward line, it's just a different energy. It's a different vibe. He brings an infectious spirit that the others want to bring as well. And I really do think he leads the charge with that. So I hope he's okay. I just feel like this shoulder's going to be an issue all year, and it's either going to come out here and there. It's just the way he plays. He puts his body in uncompromising positions, and that's why we love him. Honestly, that's why we love him, because he's willing to do that. So I gave him a 6. I hope he's okay for next week, because we'll need him against Port, no doubt about that. Harry, I also gave him a 6, and I'll tell you why. I thought early on we all saw it. He was statless in the first quarter, didn't get near it. But at the end of the day, what are we asking from him? We are asking for 2 goals a game. That's what I think, are generally asking from him. I think he did that. He got better as the game went on. A bit frustrating with the goal kicking and whatnot. He's had 4 shots on goal, end of the day. In a game where he didn't play very well, he found a way to impact, took some great contested marks. And it was a good game. And if that's his down game, I'm okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that. So I gave him a 6. Let me know what you think, obviously, with all of these. Eddie Betts, it was good. It was good to see him get some more scoring shots on goal. And it sort of showed me that he's going to have a game where those goals go in. There's no doubt about that. It could be next week. He could be building to a big game next week, Saturday night at the MCG. He really could. He had the 1 goal 3 in the end. He had the 12 touches, the 5 marks. He tackled well, put the pressure on, and he played his. Did he play his role? Absolutely, he played his role, and then some. What did I give him in the end? I gave him a 7 because of the misses. I think if he kicks 1 or 2 more of those, he elevates himself to an 8 or a 9. Because really, we're looking for 8 to 12 touches, and then let's just say 1 to 3 goals a game. That's kind of Eddie Betts. That's what I expect. That's what I'm looking for from Eddie Betts. The pressure was great. I think he's a little bit more comfortable now within the season and within himself. He looks like it. So I hope he can continue on this trend and get better next week, and we'll see how he plays. Next up, it's Mark Pittonet, Sam Walsh, and Curnow. Pitto battled. Pitto did his thing. He was going in against a guy who wasn't a ruckman. He had 56 hit-outs. I still think there is room for him to be better with his ruck taps. He has a very interesting technique. He does the double-handed tap, which is very interesting. I would love for him to use more of a soft, one-handed tap approach. I guess not everyone can be like Nick Nat, but I think that's an element to Pito's game that he can look to improve on. But anyway, he won the ruck battle convincingly, did what he needed to do. I gave him a 7 for his game. Don't know if that's being a little light on him, but I just felt that it wasn't quite an 8 out of 10. It was more of a 7. So you share with me your thoughts on that. Walshy, I gave him an 8. He battled, did his thing. They put some time and work and effort into him last night. You could tell that for sure. And he found a way to, reach a minimum standard. And if that's his minimum standard, we're just so blessed. Oh, we're so blessed to have him. It's so good. He's had 24 touches, going at 75%. He's tackled 7 times. He had guys all over him. As soon as he got the ball, there were 1 or 2 guys scragging him. He plays the game the right way. Just happy for him. I gave him an 8. Ed Curnow, gave him a 10. I did. I gave him a 10. He was sensational from the start to the finish. It was a 4-quarter performance, 32 touches, a goal. He went at 75% disposal efficiency. He's got a grubbing kick. It's not pretty at times, but he fights. And you can't knock a guy that plays the way that Ed Curnow plays and performs the way he does. I mean, yeah, you can say that he could be cleaner and whatnot, but you know what? I'm done with the Messiah complex. I think I've matured. I think I finally have matured. I'm done with wanting everyone to be all Australian. Give me 22 guys that play like Ed Curnow every day of the week, because I know that there's going to be more consistency in performance and there's going to be a standard set. Maybe not 22. Maybe give me 15 Ed Curnows and 7 superstars, and I think that's a premiership side. So, loved his game. Happy for him. A bit of criticism over the last couple of weeks, and he's responded really well. And I'm just stoked for him. So I gave him a 10. Interchange bench: Paddy Dow, Murphy, Samo, and Setterfield. Paddy Dow, I don't want to knock him. I don't want to listen. I think I would like for us, when we see a situation like this with Paddy, he hasn't played well. He hasn't gotten into the thick of it. I would hope that we can evolve a little bit and try and not berate and just, okay, wasn't a good game. I think it's now time, personally, where we say, all right, Paddy, you've had a month, hasn't worked out, you've had a solid crack at it. The criticism in the past could be we're a little bit too choppy changey with selection. 1 week in, 2 weeks in, out. Had a month. For whatever reason, he hasn't been able to translate what he does at training into games. And it is what it is. We've got to put our arm around him and support him. And I just hope that he has the breakout game, which gives him confidence. But at the same time, it's on him to have that breakout game. I just feel like he plays like he's still a boy. I mean, again, I probably am completely off the mark here. I'm trying to get a read on him. We're all trying to get a read on what's going on so we can find the solution. I just feel like he hasn't matured in the mind to think, I'm going to impact this motherfucking contest. I don't think he's got that in him just yet. Now, once he does get that, I hope he does. Once he does get that, then the sky's the limit. And it's very interesting when you compare him to a guy like Cottrell. Cottrell might not have the same talent as what Paddy Dow has, but Cottrell's base is that intent and that, ferocity and that heart and that spirit. Whereas Dow's ultra talented, but does he have that darkness in him to elevate and evolve? Maybe it's going to happen a little later. It has to happen at some point, I think. I haven't lost faith in him. I love my boys, I love my players. That's just the way it is. Call me soft, but it is what it is. I think Paddy will be dropped. I think Kennedy will take his spot, and we'll talk about Kennedy in a moment. I gave Paddy a 2, but please don't get on social media and berate him. Just let it go. The coaches will know what to do with him. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. Gave him a 2. Mark Murphy. So I sent a 3-line text to about 8 people and groups and whatnot last night. Now, if you did receive the texts, I apologise. Not really, because fuck you all. Basically, it said, fuck you all, my boy, day one. Got a bit carried away. He was really good last night, though, Murph. It was good. Listen, it was a good game. It was a good performance. And like I said with Fogarty, that half-forward role, it's going to be Murph one week. It's going to be Fogarty one week. It'll be Zach Fisher when he's in one week. It'll be Jack Martin. It's a tough role to play. I'm not getting carried away and saying, oh, that's it. Sign Murph to a 2-year deal. No. I just want to enjoy the end of his career. That's really what it's all about. He's given great service to the football club. I think if all of our list was healthy and our best 22 was available, he and Eddie Betts might not even be playing. But the fact is, right here, right now, we can't have anyone else playing but them. And I was just happy to see him play well. I just would hope to pass the message on that he's going to retire. He's going to retire soon. It might be this year. It's likely to probably be end of this year. And if that's the case, why would you waste your time hating on a guy that's given you 300 odd games? Like, why waste your time? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not trying to convince people to do what you want to do, have your opinion, and that's really what this channel is all about. We can disagree. I think I disagree with everyone apart from Shannon Gore. Shout out to you about Mark Murphy. But I'm happy to have that disagreement and still get on with each other and be respectful. I'm just happy for him. I'm happy that he played well. He kicked the 2 goals. He looked a class above. And listen, his entry kicking inside 50, most, if not every time, goes to a spot that is to the advantage of a Carlton forward. And we need someone like that in the team. I think potentially it's an expectation thing. We don't need him to be a star. He doesn't need to get 20 to 25 touches anymore. That's what Walsh and Cripps and Doherty and Sard, and that's what these guys are now there for. He's now the icing on the cake for the team, and I just think his experience is valuable for a group like this. So, yeah, I gave him a 9. Feel free to drop that down to an 8. But no, I think it is a 9, given the context, and I'm absolutely being biased, but fuck it, whatever. Gave him a 9. Please share with me your thoughts if you think I'm being a little bit too nice. Samo, I gave him an 8. I saw a lot on Twitter last night, people going at Samo. I don't understand why. I thought he was really good last night. I might have just seen it differently to you guys, but 23 touches. The key for me was the 10 marks. When I see a lot of marks from these types of players, it tells me that they're working hard to spread and create an option for the ball carrier. And that's what I saw with Samo. I thought he was good. I actually think he's had 2 really good games in a row, and he's building. So I'm happy with him. I gave him an 8 for his game. It was just interesting to see it was really harsh. I saw some really harsh things said about him last night, which I didn't quite see. Maybe it is what it is. Maybe we're just caught up in the emotion, but I thought he was good. Setterfield, I thought he was... Look, I didn't give him a pass mark. I gave him a 4. However, when I saw him at stoppages or at scrimmages and the ball was loose on the ground, his cleanliness to get that handball out into space was evident. And I just think we need to be thinking about that more. He looked like a guy that... His body language to me last night, he looked a little rattled. Like he's lost a bit of confidence. And that's where my attention goes to. Well, maybe we should get around him a little bit and give him some confidence. I don't know. I think he's one to pursue with. I think he was our most improved player in 2020. I think he's not a wingman. Williams was out, so it creates the opportunity for him to play the role he did last week. So I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out next week if Williams does return. But for me, he's an inside midfielder. He's part of the on-ball brigade. We'll see how it plays out. I gave him a 4. He's got to be better. He's got to win more of the ball. But I just think he's got it. He's got whatever it takes to be good. And I think as the season progresses, he's going to get better. And so I wouldn't say I've got no worries. There's always you're always mindful, but I think he's going fine. So gave him a 4. Kennedy, I'm not going to give him a rating, but I do want to talk about him. I thought he was outstanding in that 4th quarter. The one thing about him, I look at him and Paddy Dow, for example. I don't think Paddy Dow can hold himself the way Kennedy does in contests. And especially next week against Port, who are a big-bodied side. I think Kennedy should be playing. We'll see how it all plays out. There's a few injury concerns and whatnot with other players, but I just wanted to give Kennedy a bit of a shout out. I thought he did a pretty good job in that 4th quarter when he came on. And yeah, guys, that's it. Player ratings done for round 4. Thanks so much for tuning in. Life is just something else when Carlton win games of football. It's It's crazy. It's quite scary how attached we all are to this team. And yeah, it's just so good to share the journey with you all. It's been a fantastic one. Thanks for tuning in, and let me know what you think about the ratings in the comments below. Go the fucking Baggers.